In the heart of Atlanta during the mid-20th century, a string of quiet tragedies unfolded, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. At the center of it all was Roberta Elder, a seemingly ordinary woman who would become one of the most elusive and unacknowledged serial killers in American history. It all began in 1938 with the death of John Woodward, Roberta Elder's common-law husband. His passing appeared natural, a tragedy met with sympathy from the community. But John was only the first. Over the next 2 decades, family members and acquaintances of Roberta Elder would die one by one, often after brief, unexplained illnesses. Each death shared a haunting common thread: small life insurance policies taken out in Roberta's name. The payouts were modest, just enough to raise eyebrows, but not enough to immediately attract suspicion. And so, the deaths continued, hidden under the guise of natural causes. Roberta Elder's weapon of choice was arsenic. Tasteless and nearly undetectable at the time, it caused symptoms that mimicked natural illnesses like pneumonia or food poisoning. Doctors attributed the deaths to common ailments, allowing her to avoid suspicion for years. Among her suspected victims were 2 of her infant children, an adult son, her own mother, and eventually her second husband, Reverend William Elder. In 1952, Reverend Elder's sudden death marked a turning point. This time, authorities took notice. Reverend Elder's death prompted the exhumation of his 2 daughters, Annie Pearl and Fannie Mae, who had also died mysteriously. Tests revealed the presence of arsenic in their remains. The pattern was undeniable. Investigators pieced together a chilling timeline, linking Roberta Elder to more than half a dozen deaths. Each victim's death seemed to benefit her financially, but there was no direct evidence tying her to the purchase or use of arsenic. Her arrest and trial relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. In court, Roberta Elder maintained her innocence. Despite her denials, the jury found her guilty, and she was sentenced to life in prison. Her conviction brought an end to her crimes, but it left lingering questions about how many lives had been lost in her pursuit of financial gain. Yet the story of Roberta Elder quickly faded from public memory. At a time when media coverage of crime was deeply biased, her case received limited attention, overshadowed by sensationalized stories of white female killers. For decades, her victims remained nameless, their stories buried alongside them. Roberta Elder's story is a haunting reminder of how easily evil can hide in plain sight. She was a mother, a wife, and a trusted figure in her community. But behind closed doors, she orchestrated a campaign of death that claimed the lives of those closest to her. To this day, the full extent of Roberta Elder's crimes remains unknown. But her legacy is clear, a chilling example of how even the most ordinary lives can conceal extraordinary darkness.